Hello, it's Dr. Bettina here from Nip in the Bud. We had a letter from a parent who says the school is telling me that my 10-year-old son is being obstructive, not doing what he's told at school. I've told them he's always been like this, and I think he may have oppositional defiant disorder or similar, but I've never had him diagnosed. They imply I'm just a bad parent. Can you help? Thank you so much to this parent for reaching out about your son's situation. It's understandable that you're feeling frustrated and concerned, especially given the implication about your parenting from school, which I really don't like. But let's take a step back and look at this from a few different angles. So first of all, let's think about behavior. I've always found it helpful to think of behavior as a form of communication. So when a child is behaving in a way that is challenging us, it's not because they've just decided to make life difficult. It's more likely that they're trying to tell us something important. They don't yet have the words or the skills to express it directly. Every child, I really believe, deep down wants to have a positive relationship with adults in their life. It's hardwired into us as social beings. So when a child is consistently struggling with their behavior, it's our job as adults to put on our detective hats and try to uncover what's beneath the surface. So being a detective, seeing their behavior as communication is really the first thing to do here. I'm wondering whether you're getting the same type of behavior at home, or if this is something to do with school or pressure. And to work this out, you're going to need a team around you. So my second recommendation to think about is a meeting with the teachers. So this is not about pointing fingers or assigning blame. It's about pooling your knowledge and your insights to get a fuller picture of what's going on for the child. You and the school or the teachers are the key adults in the child's life. If you're not working together, it's a bit like rowing a boat with only one oar. You're just going to end up going round in circles. So you can be the detectives together. And a really useful tool here is keeping a diary. And I would do this at school and at home. And this can help you spot any patterns that might not be obvious at first. Is there a certain day of the week that is consistently tough? Could it be related to sleep patterns or diet or physical activity? Is there a certain topic or subject or set of children or type of class that is particularly hard for him to manage his behavior? All of these factors could be having an impact on the child's ability to regulate their emotions and their behavior. Now, on the question of diagnosis, I can see why you would want an answer to kind of put a name to what's going on, but it would be really important to have a proper assessment before assigning a label. It's really about, these assessments are about understanding your child as a whole person with all of their wonderful complexities, and it's rarely straightforward. What might look like one thing on the surface might have its roots in something entirely different. So, for example, what appears to be oppositional behavior could actually be linked to ADHD, or it could be anxiety, or it could be another type of neurodevelopmental difference. So speaking to your GP to get that assessment in motion would be very important if the behavior continues, aiming for a really comprehensive assessment by a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But in the meantime, there is actually quite a bit that you and the school could be doing. In terms of school, well, in your meeting with the teachers, I would talk through what they've tried, what's worked and what hasn't worked, and try to keep track of it, while you're working collaboratively with the teachers. They will have a system for keeping track of things, and they have a lot of resources that are available to them. And then what about at home? Well, there are lots of things that I think you could be doing at home. So I'm just going to run through a few of those things. You mentioned an implication that you are a bad parent. First of all, can I say, please don't let that idea take root in your mind. The notion could not be further from the truth. We are all doing our very best. And the fact that you're here reaching out for support and wanting to do the right thing is testament to your dedication as a parent. What is also true is that we all sometimes get things wrong, all of us as a parent. Parenting is really hard and there is no instruction manual. So what matters is that we keep showing up, we keep learning, and we keep growing alongside our children. And what about things that you could do at home? Well, here are a few things to focus on if you have a child who's struggling in this way. First of all, be really curious. Make sure that you're not getting into blaming him when he's struggling. You need to ask this question, what's really going on for him? If you get a note home saying he's misbehaved, instead of going, oh, I can't believe you've done this again, and telling him off, try to really be curious and say, what happened? Tell me a bit from your point of view about what was going on. Really try to listen and understand, because that's really strong for connection, and you're going to help him to be more interested in what's happening for him as well. So that's the curiosity along with the compassion. Then think really carefully about communication. There are some kids who react really strongly to being told what to do. You could talk to the teachers about this. And we sometimes call it, kids, we'll say they have PDA. I don't know if you heard that term, pathological demand avoidance. Actually, I much prefer the phrase pervasive desire for autonomy. These are kids that really struggle with being told what to do. Now, research shows us that there are small changes that we can make in the way that we speak to these kids that can make a really big difference. So instead of telling them what to do, what you might do is notice or narrate what you've seen. For example, rather than saying, what did I say? You could say something like this, I'm not sure that you heard me. Rather than saying, go and get your shoes, you could say, I think it's time for us to put our shoes on now. So it's a slight change in the phrasing, but this creates a sense of collaboration rather than a confrontation, which can result in a power struggle. Now, when you're both calm, I think it's really important to try to problem solve together and ask him what he thinks could help him to manage his emotions and his behavior better. What might he need from you and from the teachers in order to not do these things that are getting him in trouble? So you're really coming alongside him as his team member rather than being the person who's telling him off. So this is really about being quite courageous as a parent, to keep coming back and saying to him, we need to find a solution together. I know you're not doing this on purpose, but we need to understand what's going on. And I suppose finally, it's important just to make sure that your reactions are balanced. Are you losing it sometimes? Are you shouting? Or are you modeling this good behavioral and emotional regulation that you want your child to be demonstrating as well? So what we always want to do as a parent is to be kind and strong. And we all get tipped in one direction or the other sometimes. You're not going to get this right all the time. We're not expecting you to be perfect. But if you can hold that in mind, particularly if you've got a kid who is struggling with their behavior, it can really, really help. It's also crucial that you find a way to take care of yourself and get some support. Reach out to a co-parent, a family member, friends, or even a support group. Parenting is a team effort, and you should not be having to do this alone. Keep being curious, keep being compassionate, keep being courageous, and I really wish you the best of luck with things. And if anybody else has any questions for Nip in the Bud, please drop us a line and we will do what we can to help.